War in Iraq. American soldiers are resting after a tense day. Suddenly, one of them, Griffin Callenreese, starts shooting at his comrades. Max Lobo stops him with a shot to the legs. Griffin is in a state of complete disorientation and constantly whispers the words, "banana fish." New York. Ash encounters an injured man in an alley. Before dying, the man manages to give Ash an address in Los Angeles and hands him a vial containing an unknown substance. In his final moments, he whispers, "banana fish." Ash realizes that these events are somehow connected to his older brother Griffin. At the crime scene, Ash finds two members of his gang. They admit that the murder was ordered by Dino Golzine, the mob boss who once controlled Ash. Ash goes to confront Dino. At the mansion's entrance, he is stopped by Marvin, with whom he has a long-standing rivalry. They exchange barbed remarks. It's no secret that Marvin has a thing for green-eyed blondes. Ash directly asks Dino why he ordered the man killed. Dino responds that there's no need to worry about such trivial matters. This angers Ash. Dino reminds him that he took Ash in off the streets and forgives a lot because he loves him. At home, Ash meets Skip, who tells him that the recent events are somehow connected to one of the gang members, Arthur Frederick. Skip also reminds Ash about the upcoming meeting with Japanese journalists. The local police requested Ash's participation in the report, promising him support in return. Later, Ash tries again to talk to his brother Griffin about banana fish. But Griffin still does not respond to the outside world. Afterwards, Ash visits Dr. Meredith, who cares for Griffin. Today, he has a special task to determine what substance the dying man had given Ash. Dino's men report that Ash was alone with the injured man for several minutes, and he could have learned or received something. At first, Dino decides to question Ash himself, but Ash does not reveal anything. Realizing that Ash is deceiving him, Dino orders his men to search Ash's residence and extract the information at any cost. The Japanese journalists Shunichi Ibe and Eiji Okimura arrive. Eiji looks like a 15-year-old boy. They learn that their colleague Max Lobo has been imprisoned. A meeting is arranged for the journalists at a bar with Ash. Only 17 years old, he is sharp and has quickly taken control of all the neighboring gangs. Police officers watch the meeting from outside. The interview begins. Skip acts as the mediator. Eiji even has the courage to ask Ash to hold his gun. Skip is impressed by the Japanese boy's bravery and explains that Ash has the nickname Lynx. He is as wild as a lynx and impossible to tame. He has never let anyone even touch his gun before. Suddenly, Dino's men burst into the bar and a shootout begins. Despite police intervention, the gangsters manage to kidnap Skip and Eiji. Now they are certain Ash will do anything for his best friend. Ash chases the car in which Skip and Eiji have been kidnapped, but it turns out to be a trap. He is met there by his former subordinate Arthur and his sworn enemy Marvin. Threatening to kill Eiji, the gang forces Ash to hand over his gun and then tries to extract a confession from him. Marvin is especially cruel. Ash has always intrigued him. Ash is locked up along with Skip and Eiji. Eiji thanks Ash for saving his life and carefully tends to his wounds. Later, Marvin comes for Ash again. Ash suggests talking alone. Marvin agrees and asks everyone to leave. Ash leads him to a secluded spot. But when Marvin tries to embrace Ash, he delivers several strikes and Marvin falls unconscious. Ash, Skip, and Eiji seize the moment and try to escape, but they end up in a dead end. Ash starts considering giving the gang what they want just to ensure Skip and Eiji's safety. His thoughts are interrupted by Eiji, who tears a pipe from the wall and uses it to try to climb over. This terrifies the others. They are sure he will die. But Eiji insists. At least he will try to save himself. The gang is already close. Eiji jumps over the wall and lands on a pile of construction debris. He is wounded, but he runs for help, determined to save his new friends. Meanwhile, Marvin interrogates Ash again. He refuses to believe that Eiji flew away like a bird. The other gang members blame Marvin for what happened. It wouldn't have happened if you weren't such a pervert. They realize that Eiji will bring help and decide to move the captives to another location. Eiji loses consciousness on the street due to blood loss. In the hospital, he comes to and gives testimony. The police are shocked to learn that the order to deal with Ash came directly from Dino, who had always cared for the boy. The question arises, What could Ash have done to anger his patron so much? IG is tormented by guilt. He is convinced that if it weren't for him, Skip would have escaped easily. When the gang was putting Ash into a car, members of IG's gang and the police arrived. A firefight breaks out. Marvin points a gun at Ash, but Skip shields his friend with his body. A shot rings out, the bullet hits Skip straight in the heart. Marvin jumps into the car and drives away from the scene. Ash chases after him. He finds Marvin's car near a building. Inside, in one of the rooms, he discovers Marvin shot dead. But then the police enter. It turns out to be a trap set by Dino. He had bribed a detective in the area. Ash is arrested for murder in the act. At the police station, a video is shown in which a young Ash is seen with a naked Marvin. This explains the motive for the killing, a long-hidden childhood grudge. Later, police officer Charlie Dickinson tries to speak with Ash. He believes in the boy's innocence and asks him to testify against Dino, but Ash refuses. Dino has too many powerful connections. Charlie then asks IG to talk to Ash, knowing that Ash intends to confront the mafia boss alone, which would certainly get him killed. IG comes to visit Ash in his cell. Ash immediately sees through his plan. After their conversation, IG leaves in tears. By order of a bribed district judge, Ash is transferred to a state prison even before the charges are formally filed. He is expected to be eliminated that very night. The only thing Inspectors Charlie and Antonio can do is ask Max Lobo to keep an eye on Ash. Charlie, IG, and Ibe visit Max Lobo in prison and beg him to protect Ash. Max and Ash are placed in the same cell. From the very first moments of conversation, Max is struck by Ash's intelligence. He's not just a young delinquent, but a well-read and thoughtful boy who understands politics. Max warns his new friend not to wander around the prison alone. He's too young and attractive. During lunch, several inmates start making crude jokes at Ash's expense and suggest going on a date. Ash doesn't tolerate it for long and throws himself at one of his offenders with his fists. Then Max realizes that he's been assigned to protect someone far from ordinary. For the fight, Ash is sent to solitary confinement. Meanwhile, Dr. Meredith examines the substance Ash gave him. It turns out to be an extremely powerful new type of drug that acts directly on the brain and completely robs a person of self-control. Even a microscopic dose can drive someone insane. While Max is talking on the phone, a group of inmates led by Garvey attacks Ash. They beat and rape him. Garvey spreads rumors that Ash didn't resist, though in truth, there were simply too many attackers to fight back. Later, Max visits Ash in the prison hospital. Lost in thoughts about his brother Griffin's mysterious illness, Ash accidentally utters the words "banana fish." Max is shocked and asks how Ash knows that name. Max explains that he's been conducting a journalistic investigation. Banana fish is the nickname of a man who once served in military intelligence in Baghdad and wrote an article about narcotics. This year, that man found a new lead in Los Angeles. Max shows a photograph. It's the man who died before Ash's eyes after giving him the substance and an address. Max also tells Ash about his friend who was affected by the drug in Iraq. It turns out to be Ash's brother Griffin. Ash has already heard a lot about Max from Griffin's letters. He once believed Max was his brother's best friend, but now he knows that it was Max who shot Griffin in the leg and left him to die. Now Griffin is confined to a wheelchair. Ash vows to kill Max as soon as he gets out of prison. Max informs Charlie that for obvious reasons he can no longer look after Ash. Meanwhile, Ash sits at a nearby table with IG and Ibe. Today, he's unusually friendly toward IG, and before leaving asks him to come alone next time. IG is surprised and even more shocked when Ash suddenly kisses him and playfully slaps him on the butt. IG runs to the restroom. Everyone assumes he feels sick, but in reality Ash has passed him a capsule with a note inside. In it, Ash asks IG to go to the Chan Dan restaurant in Chinatown and meet with Shorter Wong. Shorter is supposed to retrieve something from Dr. Meredith and hide it in a safe place. Dino is informed that an Asian man visited Ash in prison. He finds it suspicious and orders his men to deal with it. Meanwhile, IG heads to Chinatown. He's nervous. He's heard it's a dangerous neighborhood, but he's willing to do anything for Ash. On the street, two guys stop him and ask who he is and what he's doing there. Once they hear Ash's name, they show him the way. At the restaurant, the owner approaches IG and tells him that he won't be able to meet Shorter. Shorter is in hiding because Dino's men are after him. IG decides to visit Dr. Meredith himself, but as he approaches the doctor's house, he's intercepted by Dino's men. IG is tied up and interrogated. Among the other hostages are Dr. Meredith and his assistant. Arthur demands to know what mission Ash gave the boy. He threatens to kill the woman, and IG, unable to withstand the pressure, confesses that he was supposed to retrieve something Ash had left there the previous night. Dr. Abraham Dawson, who arrived with the gang, rejoices. He's finally hoping to get his hands on the capsule containing the substance. At that moment, the noise awakens Griffin. For the first time in years, he regains consciousness and rises from his wheelchair. Before leaving, Arthur orders his men to kill the assistant and take IG to Dino as a gift. But unexpectedly, Shorter arrives with his men to help. Everyone is stunned when Griffin appears from behind the curtain. Dr. Abraham, convinced that the young man had long been dead, panics and shoots him. Amid the chaos, Arthur and his gang escape. Griffin undergoes surgery, but his life cannot be saved. Later, Shorter confesses to IG that he was the one in the Chandan restaurant disguised as the Chinese owner. Meanwhile, Max, after a quarrel with Ash, asks the guard to move him to another cell. But when he learns that a thug has been placed with the boy, he rushes to help. However, Ash handles the attacker easily on his own. The day before, Dr. Meredith had managed to hide part of the substance Ash brought him, so he continues his research. He has already discovered that the drug can affect the human body for more than 24 hours. The test rats first became aggressive and then inflicted fatal injuries on themselves. That's why strange suicides have been happening in the city lately. Meanwhile, Garvey and his men lure Ash into another trap. But this time, the boy fights back skillfully. When Max arrives, he accidentally lets slip the news of Griffin's death. A fight breaks out between them, but eventually both collapse from exhaustion. That evening, they sit together again in the same cell, drinking bourbon and mourning Griffin. Ash finally decides to tell Max how a dying man once handed him the capsule with the substance and an address in Los Angeles. Ash is released on bail. He appears suspiciously calm. Waiting for him at the entrance are Detective Dickinson, IG, and Ibe. Only after some time does Max realize why Ash had been pretending he wanted to get out of prison at any cost, escape, and take revenge for Griffin's death. Max needs to warn Detective Dickinson immediately to prevent Ash from doing something reckless, but he doesn't make it in time. With a gun pointed at him, Ash tries to take the detective's car. He doesn't succeed at first until IG comes to help. After driving a short distance, Ash asks IG to get out of the car, but IG pleads to be allowed to stay. Meanwhile, Arthur assures Dino that he is far better and more reliable than Ash, and that he is someone you can always count on. But Arthur demands to know what Ash did to lose their trust. Everyone knows they used to be very close. Dino says it's all about the banana fish, not a person, but a drug capable of changing the world. Ash wants to take revenge on Dino alone, refusing to involve anyone else to prevent further harm. But Shorter disagrees. Ash would only ruin himself if he acts alone. After a brief discussion, Ash agrees to accept his friend's help. Ash gives IG a pistol so he can defend himself if necessary. Together with Shorter, they begin planning the operation. Ash explains about the Cod Club, which is run by Dino. The club sells not only seafood but also children. Dino appears at the club on the 15th of every month. Max is released from prison as well. He also knows that Dino is at the Cod Club every month and tells Ibe that Ash and IG will almost certainly be there. Their task is to stop them before the police arrive. Dino drives up to the club. A truck speeds toward it with Ash standing on its roof holding a pistol. Arthur's men open fire on Ash, but he only manages to wound the old man. Dino orders that Ash be captured alive and brought to him. Ash and his friends escape their pursuers through the river. Once they reach the shore, the wounded Ash insists on continuing with his plan alone. Max is forced to knock him unconscious to prevent disaster. Ash wakes up later in a safe hideout. Max drives the whole group to Ash's childhood home, the place he once ran away from. There, they hope to find records and photographs of Griffin. To get the key to the house, the friends go to Ash's father. The man is far from happy to see his son and greets him with open hostility. Inside the house, they find old military photographs. On one of them, IG recognizes Dr. Abraham, the man who shot Griffin. Searching online, they discover that Abraham lives at the very address dying Stephen Thompson mentioned to Ash before his death. Max tries to talk to Ash's father to understand why he hates his son so much. It turns out that when Ash was 7 years old, he was assaulted by a war veteran who lived next door. But the man was respected in the community, and neither the police nor the neighbors believed the boy. Furious, the father told Ash, "If someone ever tries to do this to you again, let them, but take revenge afterward." Sometime later, Ash shot the neighbor with his father's gun. In the man's basement, the police found the remains of dozens of children. Ash was acquitted, but to avoid gossip and scandal, his father sent him to live with his younger sister. However, Ash ran away. Since then, his father has never forgiven him. That evening, strangers arrive at Ash's father's tavern. The man immediately senses trouble. Ash doesn't return for a long time, and his friends grow worried. IG and Shorter go looking for him. They find him near his father's diner. The gangsters have already taken his family hostage and demand that Ash surrender. He obeys, walking in unarmed with his hands raised. Max crashes a truck into the wall to distract the enemies. A shootout breaks out. Ash's father is wounded, and his stepmother Jennifer is killed. Before dying, Ash's father realizes that his son is avenging his brother. He forgives and blesses him. Ash and his friends are forced to flee before the police arrive. They head toward Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, Max asks to stop by his ex-wife's house. He wants to see his son. After a brief visit, they drive to the address where Dr. Abraham supposedly lives. The gate is open and noise can be heard in the backyard. The maid says that some men tried to kidnap the young master. Ash and his friends rush in, fight off the attackers, and rescue a young Asian man named Yausis Dawson. The maid explains that he is the adopted son of Professor Alexis, Dr. Abraham's younger brother who disappeared 6 months ago. Meanwhile, Dino knows every move Ash makes. He strikes a deal with the Lai clan that from now on their men will assist him in exchange for generous rewards. Yausis seems friendly and allows Ash and the others to search the house and access the professor's computer. But Ash can't shake the feeling that something about the boy is off. Ash and Max conclude that Banana Fish must be a secret military project or even part of a national conspiracy. Max urges Ash to stop investigating or they'll be in serious trouble. On Ash's orders, Shorter goes to gather information about Yausis Dawson, but he's captured by men from the Lai clan. They tell him that from now on he must act behind Ash's back and follow the orders of Lai Yuelong or his brothers will suffer. Shorter returns and pretends that nothing happened. When he's alone, Yausis approaches him and politely asks if he needs anything. Shorter snaps, grabs him by the collar and demands to know who he really is. Calmly, Yausis replies that he is not the adopted son of Professor Alexis, he is Yuelong Lai, the younger brother of the clan's leader whose orders Shorter must now obey. Meanwhile, Ibe and IG's visas are about to expire, and they must urgently return to Japan. Ibe fears IG will try to run away again, and Ash promises to talk to him. Ash tells IG that he wants him to go under the current circumstances. IG would only become a burden. IG is heartbroken. Yuelong informs Shorter that they must deliver Ash alive to New York. As bait, he plans to use IG. He also warns that if Shorter disobeys, his sister will be the one to pay. At the same time, Max has no idea that Dino's men have already broken into the house where his ex-wife and son live. Later, Max receives a call from the gangsters. If he wants his son to stay alive, he must bring Ash. Max and Ash set out to rescue his family. Ash realizes that someone is trying to lure him out of the house and entrusts Arthur with guarding IG and Ibe. When they arrive, Max's wife and son have already been freed. Ash learns that the attackers were Asians and realizes that the Lai family has betrayed them. Meanwhile, Yuelong puts his plan into action. Together with Shorter, he incapacitates Ibe and kidnaps IG. Shorter stays close to IG, insisting that he will never abandon him. Suddenly, the door opens. Arthur enters with his men and demands that the boy be handed over to him. Shorter presses a knife to IG's throat and threatens to kill him first and then himself. Dino will undoubtedly be furious if Arthur ruins his toy. Ibe comes to and starts saying something. Ash and Max are nearby. At that moment, they hear footsteps on the second floor. A man descends and introduces himself as Professor Alexis Dawson. At a meeting with Dino are Senator Kip and Colonel Holstock. Dino assures them that the drug is almost ready for use. Only a few tests remain. The experiments will be conducted on a human and Dino has already chosen a victim. Meanwhile, Ash interrogates Professor Dawson demanding information about banana fish. He leads them to a hidden room and explains that it all started 20 years ago. He was already a medical worker and his brother was a student. They came up with the idea of making money from drugs. They accidentally invented a substance that amplifies all nerve sensations including fear and hatred, drives a person insane from the first dose, and makes them highly susceptible to any influence. When it became clear how dangerous the drug was, Professor Alexis destroyed it. But his brother hid a portion and continued research on prisoners of war in Iraq. Shorter and IG have already been delivered to New York along with Yulong. The older Lai brother, head of the clan in New York, summons Yulong and his brother for a private talk. He asks Yulong what he has learned about banana fish. Yulong replies that it is an ordinary drug, leaving no trace in the body, and is ideal for assassinations. They couldn't learn more because Ash is very careful. He lies in reality, he knows much more. The older Lai brother flies into a rage and threatens Yulong with death if he doesn't find out more. He sends him to Dino to learn the mafia boss's plans. Yulong obeys. He cannot defy his elder brothers, but he remembers the day they killed his mother and plans to take revenge. At the same time, armed men enter Professor Alexis's mansion. They tie him up along with Ash, Max and Ibe to take them to New York for Dino's execution. Dino welcomes the Lai brothers to his mansion and thanks them for their assistance. The younger brother Yulong is dressed in women's clothes. He is here as a gift. If the old man wishes, he can keep him for himself. IG regains consciousness. He is shocked to see Arthur and Dino standing before him, but even more devastated by Shorter's betrayal. When Arthur is left alone with the boss, he asks Dino if he realizes that Yulong was clearly sent to keep an eye on him. Dino calmly replies that he knows. Arthur also reports that not all New York gangs are willing to serve him except for Ash's people. The laboratory is ready for testing banana fish. The test subject chosen is Shorter. Shorter is injected with the drug. After a while, he begins to hallucinate. Now anything can be implanted into his mind. Dr. Abraham tells him that to get rid of fear and pain, he must kill IG. Dino wants Shorter to tear apart the person dearest to Ash right before his eyes. Later, Dino amuses himself in bed with Yulong and IG. Suddenly, the phone rings. Ash has been brought in. Yulong unties IG and tells him that Ash was once also Dino's toy. He let terrible things be done to him just to survive. IG can't comprehend this. He grew up in an entirely different world. A formal dinner follows. All the guests are dressed in tuxedos. Ash enters the hall, elegant, wearing a jade earring. It's a gift from Dino worth $400,000, matching the color of his eyes perfectly. Dino recalls that Ash was once his most valuable product. He found the boy on the streets, gave him an education, taught him to shoot, and never imagined that one day Ash would point that same gun at him. The dinner ends. The prisoners are led to the place where a dreadful show is about to begin. At Dino's mansion arrive Senator Kip, Colonel Holstock, and other high-ranking officials. Ash and his friends are bound. But even in this seemingly hopeless situation, Ash promises Dr. Abraham that he will kill him. Shorter is brought out. He is tormented by unbearable pain. Seeing IG makes his suffering even worse. They are both thrown knives and Ash is handed a pistol with a single bullet. Shorter attacks IG. IG struggles desperately, but when his strength is nearly gone, Ash can't bear it anymore. He fires, shooting Shorter straight through the heart. Shorter falls onto IG. Ash screams in anguish. He has just killed his best friend with his own hands. Ash begs his tormentors to stop, but they take genuine pleasure in his suffering. IG is taken away somewhere. Arthur promises that he will follow the same path as Ash. They will test the banana fish on him, and then he himself will kill Ash. Meanwhile, Yulong secretly wanders through the mansion, conducting his own investigation. In the evening, Dino and his entourage leave the house, heading to a ceremony dedicated to the banana fish. Arthur hopes that Ash will die that night, but Dino has his own plans for him, which he keeps secret for now. Learning that Dino is away, Yulong immediately informs his brothers. He puts the guards to sleep and goes to see Ash. He warns that something terrible will happen that night, then hands him a key, a chance to save his friends. That same night, a series of mysterious murders shakes the city. Among the victims is a presidential candidate. Dino assures everyone that this is only the beginning. Meanwhile, Ash breaks free from his chains and unties Max and Ibe. Now he only needs to find IG. Dino meets with high-ranking guests, among them the White House Chief of Staff, a congressman, Republican representatives, and military officials. He introduces Arthur as a future government candidate. But suddenly Dino is informed that Ash has escaped. He immediately calls for reinforcements and rushes back home. Ash fights his way through dozens of armed men. The remnants of Ash's and Shorter's gangs also infiltrate the estate. They demand to know where Shorter is being held. One of the gang members claims he saw Ash shoot him. No one believes it, everyone knows they were best friends. The new leader swears that if it's true, he'll kill Ash himself. Finally, Ash finds the room where IG is being kept. He breaks down the door and frees his friend. They must leave before reinforcements arrive. Meanwhile, Dr. Abraham, learning that Ash is free, hastily packs his things, preparing to flee. Yulong visits him saying, "So this is what you are, the creator of Banana Fish," and warns that Ash will surely come for him. Ash meets his men in the corridors and orders them to destroy the cars in Dino's garage to prevent pursuit, then get out of the mansion. He stays behind. He wants to retrieve Shorter's body. IG begs him to come back alive. He'll be waiting. In the laboratory, Ash finds Dr. Abraham paralyzed. Yulong had immobilized him and taken the remaining samples of Banana Fish. On the operating table lies Shorter with his head shattered. Ash is horrified. He empties a full clip into the doctor, then sets Shorter's body on fire. At that moment, the new leader of the Chinese gang, Shin, bursts into the lab, demanding to know what happened to Shorter. Ash refuses to talk and simply asks to be left alone. He fends off Shin's attack, but spares his life. Beaten back, Shin retreats. Outside, Yulong is already waiting for him. He orders Shin to get into the helicopter and promises to tell his brothers that he saved him. From above, they see a red car driving out of the yard. Ash is heading toward Manhattan. Detective Charlie is watching the news on TV about the destroyed mansion of the Corsican mafia boss Dino Hadzini. At that moment, there's a knock at his door. It's Max and Ibe. Ash returns to his guys. He gives orders and asks for 2 hours to catch up on sleep. Dino scolds Arthur for failing to take control of all the Manhattan gangs. Ash escaped, his house is in ruins, and the media won't leave him alone. Arthur asks for another chance, but Dino no longer wants to see him. 2 hours pass, but none of the subordinates dares to wake Ash. IG takes on this mission. Everyone is shocked at how gentle Ash is with IG. After taking a shower, Ash asks to find out which gangs now serve Arthur, how many there are, their ethnicity, who their bosses are, and where their bases are, but he asks for utmost caution. IG is impressed by Ash's leadership skills. At night, Ash wakes up from nightmares he killed his best friend. He needs to pour out his feelings. He tells IG about his difficult childhood, how he was sexually abused at 8, how he killed a person for the first time, and how terrified he was that he lost his voice. Ash cries. To comfort him, IG hugs him, reassures him, and says that even if the whole world turns away, he will stand by him, of course, if Ash doesn't mind. Ash asks him to stay nearby until he calms down. They fall asleep together. In the morning, Ash is back to his usual self, reckless and daring. It's hard to believe that the night before he had cried like a child on IG's shoulder. He sits at the computer and does everything to make Dino's stocks on the stock market plummet. He sends fake sell orders to the major shareholder companies. The money from Dino's account is mysteriously transferred abroad. Ash takes control of Dino's largest offshore company. While staying at the old man's place, he had installed a spy program on his computer. Now Dino will have to explain the missing money to the other Dons. Since Ash is underage and cannot officially register documents in his name, he meets with his longtime acquaintance Edward L. Fox, who registers an apartment for Ash under his own name. For now, Ash must lie low and stay hidden. Meanwhile, Dino still gives Arthur a second chance and keeps him in charge while he attends to business in America. During this time, Arthur must find Ash and deliver him alive to Dino. Arthur keeps receiving new reports one man has been killed, another wounded. He realizes Ash is behind it. Furious, Arthur loses control. He won't allow anyone to treat him that way. Shin tells Yulong about Ash. Other gangs used to attack him often, but Ash always avoided conflict. Now he seems like a beast. Maybe Shorter's death changed him. Shin asks why Ash killed his friend. Yulong replies that Ash didn't kill Shorter, he set him free. He went through the same hell himself and doesn't want to talk about it. Ash calls Ibe and says he has 2 plane tickets to Tokyo in 10 days. Until then, IG will stay with him. Ibe doubts IG will want to leave, but Ash insists he will by then. He'll hate him. Dino is leaving for America. Right before the flight, Ash approaches him. He says the stolen money is compensation. He used to dream of breaking free from Dino, but now he swears he'll stop him no matter what. Dino asks if he came to declare war. Ash gives orders to his gang members. IG walks into the room by accident, overhears the conversation, and clearly hears Ash ordering someone to be killed. Ash plans to meet Bloody Kai, the leader of one of the gangs, to find out whose side he's on. Ash's apartment is right across from Hadzini's office. IG's task is to photograph everyone who enters. Ash visits Bloody Kai and says he wants to settle things with Arthur, asking Kai's men not to interfere. Kai answers that their war doesn't concern him, but if any of his men get hurt, Ash will get no mercy. Online, IG reads news about a series of brutal murders. Even those who dropped their weapons were shot between the eyes. IG suspects Ash is behind it. He asks why Ash acts this way. He used to know a different Ash. Ash takes offense and leaves. He doesn't come home that night. IG asks Ash's people where he can find him. They take him to a library, and Ash is really there, calmly reading a book. IG apologizes for the previous night and says he never meant to hurt him. Through Bloody Kai, Arthur offers Ash a fair fight. Kai is to be the witness. Ash agrees. Kai hints that it's obviously a trap, but at least now Ash will stop killing senselessly. Ash tells Max about the information he's gathered. Many influential people have recently visited Hadzini's office, a congressman, the White House chief of staff, and a colonel involved in Middle Eastern affairs. The government is planning a coup and wants to establish a puppet regime in that region. Without Banana Fish, it would be almost impossible. Tomorrow IG is supposed to fly to Tokyo. Max asks Ash if he knows about it and adds, "Your mind works like a computer, Ash, but when it comes to IG, you lose all reason." When Ash comes home, IG and his friends are celebrating Halloween. Ash joins the fun and promises there will be no gangs or wars tonight. But later, when IG falls asleep, Ash's phone rings and he leaves without telling anyone.